Hi all, over to you, Hiroshi. We are live now.
はい、それではですね、本日今からですね、ストラスクライド大学 MBA ウェビナーですね、を行っていきます。本日お話をしていただくのは、ストラスクライド大学からのメリッサさんという方ですね、からお話をいただきますので、ではですね、今からお話をしていきます。
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Melissa McCrindle and I'm Head of Marketing and Student Recruitment at Strathclyde Business School. I'm here today to tell you specifically about our Strathclyde MBA programme and how you can study it in Scotland and in Glasgow in our one-year programme. But we also have study routes available for Executive MBA, which is a part-time way of study. And so I'm open to any questions you may have on those particular routes too. So I thought I'd start off the presentation by giving you a little bit of background. The Strathclyde Business School is part of the University of Strathclyde. We've had, in spite of COVID this year, a very good last 18 months in that we became, for a second time running, the UK University of the Year from the Times Higher Education Awards, which is a pretty prestigious thing to be able to gain. We've also been named Scottish University of the Year by the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide. So just to give you an idea of where Strathclyde Business School is located in the world, the headquarters are in Glasgow, where our University of Strathclyde campus is based. But we have international MBA centres where people study our part-time executive MBA in countries around the world, such as in Greece, in Athens, in Switzerland, in Zurich, in the Middle East, in Dubai, Bahrain, and in Oman, and in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia and Singapore. So we've been running the MBA since 1966 in Glasgow, and we're celebrating this year 25-year anniversaries in the Middle East as we've launched there for many years, and over 30 years in our Southeast Asian centres. So for those of you who don't know where Glasgow is a city within Scotland. We have our campus is a very much a city centre campus, so that you have all the major shopping areas near you, as well as all of the visitor attractions, and we have an airport which is approximately 20 minutes drive from our campus with international links globally. I won't go into details of the map, it's a bit too much detail. So in terms of external recognition, the business school is a triple accredited business school, and what that means is that it has three main business schools or accreditations in AMBA, the Association of MBAs, which is a long-standing accreditation that the many European MBA programs look for. AACSB is the American standard, so any university or any business school in the US, and that's all your Ivy Leagues, will have AACSB, and EQUIS is a European quality assurance stamp similar to AACSB. So we have all three of those. We're the first business school in Scotland to achieve triple accreditation, and we've had triple accreditation in place for well over a decade. We take part in a lot of rankings. We are consistently ranked in the Financial Times, The Economist, and for our undergraduate programmes in Times and Guardian guides. To put us into context, we have 4 faculties within Strathclyde. Strathclyde Business School is one of them, but we also have engineering, science and humanities. Actually, the Strathclyde Business School comprises several departments. The MBA and International Unit is not an academic department as such, but it borrows, if you like, and works very closely with all of the other academic departments within the business school. So that would be economics, accounting and finance, work, employment and organisation, which is HR, management science, the Hunter Centre for Entrepreneurship, marketing. There's also mention there of our centres of excellence. So we have several centres of research excellence within Strathclyde. We have our Centre for Financial Regulation Innovation, which is FinTech, and Centre for Informed Decision Analytics. The Fraser of Allender Institute, which is to look at macro and microeconomics in Scotland, a Centre for Employment Research, and an Institute of Operations Management. In terms of specifically looking at the MBA, as previously mentioned, we've been running the programme since 1966. You can study the programme on a full-time basis in Glasgow. That's 1 year, 12 months of study, 9 months of which are more instructional, and the 3 months that make the year is more of a project-based dissertation. We normally have one intake per year in September, October time. This year we have an intake in January 2021 for the full-time programme, and that's really to do with the fact that we have had a lot of international students unable to join in time for September due to the impact of COVID and problems gaining visas, sorting out finances, etc. So due to demand, we're running our programme just now in September, but we're also looking to recruit to January 2021. There are core and optional classes. I'll go through the syllabus shortly, and there is a research project dissertation over the summer. I'm not going to read all of this out, but the Strathclyde MBA has gone through a bit of a transformation. So anyone studying in September 2021 will be having a different version of the programme, slightly different focus to the programme than was offered in September 2020. And that is a good thing, because what we're really trying to do is leverage the fact that Strathclyde MBA, since it's been running in 1966, has a huge alumni and external organisation network. And we want to leverage that more to bring it into the programme and make sure that the programme becomes one of the most engaged MBA programmes out there. We have looking at putting more live organisational challenges and practical applications within the programme. They already exist, but we're looking to up our game in that, if you like, and make it much more engaging for the students participating. In a sense, I'm not going to get the academic theory in this, but it's called flip learning or flip teaching. And what we do is we flip it in the head in terms of when you normally go into a classroom, you're taught a specific subject area in the classroom, and then you go away and have a think about it. What we are trying to do with certain subjects is you do some digital online short bursts in advance of your classes, so that when you're coming into the classes, you're much more informed, you're much more switched on, and the learning that you have and the peer sessions that you have are much more to do with applying that knowledge. So you're not wasting your time just learning in the classroom the facts of a subject, you're starting to apply it more. In terms of themes, this is a question that comes up. What's our kind of focus? It's very much a general MBA. So it's not a specialist MBA in that you have a particular specialism in human resource management, etc. We have a whole portfolio of MSc programmes that specialise and allow you to differentiate in that way. But what the MBA does is it allows us to introduce a lot of recurring themes which are prevalent in business today. So themes such as sustainability and responsibility, entrepreneurship and innovation, adaptability and resilience, particularly operational resilience, digitalisation and technology and its impact, and globalisation and internationalisation. To look at the content of the programme, it's similar to what was previously offered, but the key themes are shown here, where there's subjects that specifically look at the operational excellence of a company, and that's what you'd expect, your marketing, your human resource management, how to lead. But then there's elements like ongoing parts of the MBA, strategy and practice, all about how to make and implement strategic decisions in an impactful, effective way. And then there's the value creation side, discovering new ways to deliver stakeholder value. And core to all of that is progressive leadership, and that's really developing you as a leader and enabling you to look at the bigger picture, to be able to implement strategy. So if you look here, I've just added there some of the key subject areas within each of those core areas. Similar to our current programme, and it covers things like corporate governance, sustainability and ethics, personal leadership development, as well as more foundation type course subjects like operations and project management. In addition to the core content, which is the kind of initial part of the programme and compulsory part of the programme, there then comes an element of a kind of tailoring of the MBA to suit you. So there are a selection of electives that take place each year as part of a summer school. And at that point, we bring together our executive MBA colleagues from around the world for a summer school over 3 to 4 weeks, where you can sort of further enhance your networking and choose some electives which are particularly relevant to your future career aspirations. Also for this year, there's the option of doing electives with internship or exchange options. I don't have those yet, but if anyone's interested, as soon as I have them, I'll share the content and detail of that. There's also the option, instead of doing a straightforward dissertation thesis, you can do a consulting project, including a volunteering piece of activity. You can look at a business startup, or you can stick to a more traditional thesis. Important to note here, this can be done as an individual, or you can tackle the final stage of the MBA as a group, doing a consulting project or looking at a business startup. And we quite often have MBA students who leave industry and are keen to start up their own business, and use the MBA in order to give them a sort of formal structure around thinking through that business startup. Particular strength that Strathclyde has is that we have the Hunter Centre for Entrepreneurship, and we also have a massive focus on entrepreneurial activity out with the business school, where we have Strathclyde Entrepreneurial Network, which really encourages all of our students, whether you're studying engineering, an MBA or a science subject, gives them options on how to start their own business and a lot of support. Again, the learning outcomes a lot in this particular slide, but what I'd like to kind of focus in on is the end of the MBA Factor. So the whole idea of the MBA is to give you a very generalist degree at a strategic level. It allows you to specialise within the programmes, but if you weren't a marketing expert, you will be able to understand marketing, but it's not there to make you a specialist digital marketer. It will give you more enhanced personal business and managerial knowledge and skills that you didn't have before. And it just makes you more of a reflective learner. And many of our MBAs, one of the most common comments they come back is it gives them confidence to move into a more senior management role. In terms of adding value, most MBA programs, if you've started to look at them, it isn't just the straight teaching of the program. There's lots of value added to it. So at Strathclyde, we have a dedicated careers team and personal development support, which is specifically for MBA students. There's 2 full-time members of staff and a part-time member of staff, and they work with you in terms of the most simple things like building your CV, but also at offering intensive sessions, looking at developing your personal skills as a leader, and just plotting out your future career aspirations based on your current CV, and looking at potential job opportunities at home and overseas. The MBA programme is takes no more than 60 people per intake. So it's a small programme in comparison to other MSc programmes and undergrad programmes. And that's a deliberate decision. And that means that your class size is limited but allows maximum interaction. A key thing to look at in an MBA, and one of the things that triple accreditation schools insist on, is that you have a very minimum of 3 years work experience. So you'll find on a full-time MBA programme at Strathclyde and other triple accredited business schools that really is a minimum, and majority of people will have 7 years plus work experience. And one of the advantages of that is that you have the value added from that peer network. You're able to exchange and learn from others while you're on the programme. So in our admissions and our selection, we look very carefully at your background, and it's very much on a case-to-case basis. You could have someone who has an ordinary degree or has only a professional qualification, but they've got brilliant work experience, ideal for an MBA. So we have entry requirements that we publicly display in terms of having a degree and minimum 3 years work experience. But when we look from an admissions perspective, we take a very holistic view, and we look at your work experience to date, as well as just your straightforward qualifications, because at the end of the day, we feel what you can bring to the table and to the wider cohort is more valuable. As I mentioned, we are also international, so that gives some options for electives at some of our other international centres, which again can be offered out to you, and also gives the option to study and work with colleagues in other parts of the world. Scholarships, another question we get asked a lot of. They haven't been, there are a set of scholarships on offer for January 2021. They're on our website just now. September 2021 scholarships aren't up yet. They should be going up towards the end of October this month. So these are an example of some that we've offered in the past, but we can provide you with a lot more details. And so once you complete study with MBA, you become part of our Alumni Network. So it doesn't stop there. Once you graduate, you have access to MBA career support, ongoing support. We have people who come back to us after 10 years and they maybe something's happened in their career, or they want to move into another career and ask our advice. We have lots of chapters of our MBA around the world. And what that means is that you can join there or be in a country, and we can put you in touch with MBA graduates in that country and help you in your business and to develop your international networks. We also offer 3 years after graduation the option of studying an additional elective for no additional cost, so that you can, obviously, like a form of continuing professional development. So a lot of our graduates take us up on that offer. So really, in terms of presentation, that's all I have to say at the moment. So I think Hiroshi was going to field some questions for me. Anybody has any questions? I'm here for the next half hour or so to answer them. Okay.
We have a couple of questions so far.
Okay.
Yeah, just a moment. We have 2 questions so far. I'm not sure if you have already talked about. First question is that do you need working experience to apply for MBA? So if that's the case, how many years do students need working experience?
Students need a minimum of 3 years work experience, normally post-graduation. So if you don't have a first degree, but you're really keen to do an MBA, you would be considered, but you would have to have significant work experience at a managerial level or a position of responsibility. But the norm would be an undergraduate degree with a minimum of 3 years post-graduation work experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Then second question is, this student has a bachelor's degree in international management, and then they have no working experience, but would you be able to accept this student?
If they have no work experience, unfortunately not. The MBA is a post-experience qualification. We have other master's programs, for example, the MSc Business and Management, which is an accredited AMBA program, which leads to the MBA. So if you like, it's I don't like the term, but it's like a junior MBA. So yeah, you have they have options of programs that you don't need experience for, but an MBA at any decent business school, you would have to have work experience.
Thank you very much. That's it for now.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? Even other programs at Strathclyde, if it's not particularly the MBA that you're after?
Hiroshi, we have one more question on Zoom, on YouTube.
I don't think we have any more questions right now.
Hi, Hiroshi. We have few questions on YouTube.
Yeah, but this last question is the same as the previous one.
Okay, so let's you can ask the Zoom students if they have any question, and let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes if in YouTube someone puts up any question.
はい、何か質問がある方がいらっしゃればですね、Zoom の方は、チャットボックスに入れていただいて、あと YouTube でご覧いただいている方は、YouTube のチャットの方をですね、入れていただいたらお答えができますが、いかがでしょうか。We've got new question. What is the average age of MBA class?
Okay, that's a good question. It varies from year to year, but typically I would say that the minimum age to do an MBA is 24. I should have mentioned that. The minimum age is 24. So typically you're looking at an age group of 30, 31 as in any average year. So I would say anything from about 28 to 32 is average. Within that, you do have older candidates, and we have a very small percent of younger candidates who maybe had some very specific work experience. For example, a graduate who has been in a consultancy group for 3 or 4 years. But on average, I would say work experience is probably around 7 years.
はい、ありがとうございます。Thank you very much. 他に、質問がある方いらっしゃいますか？ I've got new question.
Yes.
So after finishing the MBA course, are there any opportunities to get a job? And then if so, is it possible for Japanese international students to get a working visa in the UK?
Yes, well, at the moment, there is the post-study work visa on offer in the UK, so that international students, if they meet, the requirements and eligibility, they can stay on and study for up to 2 years in the UK. Also, we have examples of MBA students who gain sponsorship to work in the UK and are taken on by companies to work in Scotland or work in other parts of the UK. So yes, it is possible. Again, our careers team, headed up by Irene Taylor, she'll be able to give you some examples of companies who have recently recruited and sponsored international students. It's something that we can help with to a certain extent, but we do not deal with visa situations because we do not make a decision on who gets a post-study work visa. It's a government decision. However, we can help facilitate that by letting you know companies who do take people on, or industries where there is more likelihood of gaining a role post-graduation. So yes, there are opportunities. For the MBA, I would, if anyone's interested, they can be put in touch with our careers team and talk about it in more detail.
Thank you very much. Can I ask one more question from a student on YouTube? And then the next question is, what's the average salary in the UK if they have an MBA degree?
I don't know that off the top of my head. It varies per sector. I can pass on that information to whoever interested via our careers team. Again, it really is dependent on what industry you're going into. So just now, when I'm filling in rankings, etc., you could have an average of something like, a starting salary of £6,000 to £8,000 for a particular year group or who've graduated. But it really is dependent on, the average depends on the makeup of a particular year group. I think what would be best doing would be whoever's interested in that to get an idea from our careers team of the industry they're looking to go into. So for example, consultancy, and get an idea of the salary levels on offer. Consulting is kind of an interesting one because it's one of the most popular choices for MBAs and always has been, particularly going into strategic consulting. So salaries vary from the smaller, 2 or 3 partnership types consultants right up to the major consultancies. So to get an idea of the kind of range of salaries, you really should speak to the MBA careers team, as they're much more informed than I would be.
Thank you very much. 他に何か質問がある方いらっしゃいますか? We've got another question. How long will I have after graduating from your MSc course to do a job hunting?
How long do you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so you mean in the country? Oh, well, it depends on what your visa allows you to stay for, but we would encourage people normally when people start to do their electives and their project, they're also looking at job opportunities at the same time. So I would say if the program normally starts around September, October, by the time you get to April, May, people are already, seriously looking at job opportunities. But opportunities come up, throughout the program. So the careers team will forward you details, and they bring recruiters in to meet you and speak to you about any opportunities. Additionally, if there is a specific industry or company you want to get into, we would encourage you to look at perhaps doing your project or a piece of coursework on that particular company or industry, because that really helps open doors. Particularly things like internships. We have a lot of examples of students who've gone into a project or some form of internship, which has ended up in them gaining a full-time position within the organisation. So there are ways to use your MBA to open doors for you in terms of certain organisations.
Okay, thank you very much. 他に質問がある方いらっしゃいますでしょうか? もし質問がある場合はチャットボックスとかですね、YouTube の方はチャットボックスから、Zoom の方もですね、チャットボックスから、質問いただけますので、どういった質問でも構いませんので、もしよろしければお送りください。
Any more questions?
So can I ask a question? I'm not sure if you have already explained about, do you require applicants to show the GMAT or other qualification?
No, we don't ask, we do not ask for compulsory GMAT. I know other business schools do, particularly American business schools. We don't ask. We have the admissions process involves us looking at your qualifications, your work experience, and it involves a formal interview, which can be carried out by Skype or by Zoom. So we don't tend to ask for GMAT unless there is a situation where your academic qualifications do not meet the mark, but that's very unusual. So as a university, we do not ask for GMAT as a part of the admissions.
Okay, thank you very much. 他に質問がある方はいらっしゃいますでしょうか。
Hiroshi, at the end of this, we have the opportunity, to allow students or anyone who's particularly interested in the MBA to speak to us in a one-to-one. My colleague, Angela Innes, is our MBA admissions manager, and she deals with all of our MBA admissions on a personal basis. So if anyone wants to talk about any aspect of the MBA, or would like to speak to an alumnus, or would like to speak to an academic who teaches in the programme, I can get you put in touch with Angela, who works in my team, and that's a very helpful way of gaining a bit more knowledge about the programme and about the process, and also about funding and finance. We have, in addition to scholarships, we are part of the Prodigy Finance, which is offered to reputable leading business schools, and it's a finance, a very reasonable rated finance for people wanting to do MBA programs. So I can get, if anyone's particularly interested in that, if we get details following this session, Angela can get in touch with you. We also do MBA specific webinars with our academics who teach on the programme. We can also let you know when we have these platforms, virtual events happening.
So you mean the students can talk with you individually on Skype or Zoom?
Yeah, so I would put them in touch with Angela Innes, who's our MBA admissions officer, or you can speak to me, but we can put you in touch with any of the MBA team. You may want to speak about, the academic content. I would say the careers team we can put you in touch with on an individual basis, so that, if you have your CV, they can have a look at it, and they're very honest. So if you come with, you want to work for Boston Consulting Group, and your CV has your undergraduate degree or your work experience to date, just is unlikely to meet their requirements, and we're honest about that. But what we would do is look at alternatives for you in terms of if you want a career in consulting. So they offer that. It's a free service they offer to applicants and potential candidates, because we completely appreciate that it's a very expensive programme. We appreciate that you're giving a year out of your life to study it. So we want you to make the right decision. And we also want to make sure that whoever's coming onto the programme is going to get the most out of it. It's not we'd be willing to say, I don't think an MBA is the right thing for you to do. We'd be willing to say that because we have done that in the past, because there's sometimes people who would get more out of doing a specialist master's program than an MBA, or, you know, so I think talking to someone in careers is really, really useful, because it just reinforces, you know, your thought process and thinking about doing an MBA. And not just for Strathclyde, for any MBA program, because it's a huge market and there's lots of information out there. But I think the main thing to do is really to do your research, and if you can, speak to as many people before you do the MBA, the academics involved and the careers team particularly. I think they give you so much insight, and they're a very experienced team. Irene has been doing the role for 20 years, so deals with other business schools around the world, so really knows what's good and what should be done in the careers team.
Okay, thank you very much. そうですね、もし個別にお話をしたいとか、もっとストラスクライド大学の MBA のことを知りたいとかということがあればですね、弊社ストラスクライド大学と公式の提携を持ってますので、担当者の方とですね、皆さんをおつなぎして、何かこう、スカイプとか、Zoom とかでお話をしたりすることもできますし、YouTube のチャットボックスなんかにも入れてるんですけれども、無料カウンセリングのリンクもお送りしているので、そちらからですね、登録していただいて、それで弊社のスタッフからご案内させていただいて、で、また大学の担当者と直接お話をしたりとかっていう機会を設けることもできますので、もしよろしければですね、ぜひ、リンクからお問い合わせをいただけたらと思います。はい、他に質問がある方いらっしゃいますか？So we are not having any more questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I say, whoever is it, Deepika, who afterwards, if she facilitates and lets me know of any other questions of someone who wants to speak to us offline, then I'm happy to speak to anyone, as are my colleagues. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, my
really
pleasure.
Nice to having you here.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So we are
Okay,
ending
my
over
pleasure.
here, Hiroshi.
はい、じゃあ、今日のですね、セミナーをこれにて終了させていただきます。本日ご参加いただいた方ですね、ありがとうございます。また何かご質問とかあればですね、ぜひ SIUK の方にご連絡いただけましたら、大学の担当者とですね、つないでまたご連絡させていただきますので、また何かありましたら、ぜひですね、ご連絡いただけたらと思います。本日はありがとうございました。Thank you very much for coming to this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye all.
Bye.
Thank you. And then I can end the meeting, right?